Hello. Hello, everybody. I don't see anybody here yet. That's tragic. Welcome. Oh, here we go. Michael Kirshner. Hello. So, welcome to the stream for Thursday. It is June 14th. Few things. Massimiliano's here and Michael Collins. Things are going well. It's time for some step back from Big Seltzer. And Mappa Zero. So, for anybody who it's their first time here, this is the countdown stream. It's a stream I do for an hour before I release a new step back video every Thursday. Today is Thursday. And basically, we work through what we're going to do. Or we talk about stuff. I talk to you guys. We have a hello, Diana. Hello, Sam. Hello, Seamus. I talk to you guys, and we talk about stuff, and we hang out until the new video goes live at the end of the hour. And that's it. That's everything. Were you somebody on did you get Michael Collins? I'm sorry if I didn't respond to you on Discord. I am very bad at Discord. I'm just like I'm never on it. I never check it. I'm bad. Anyways, thank you for Michael Kirshner. Congrats on the new stretch goal. Congrats. Thank you very much for being part of that. Michael Kirshner just recently signed up to become a patron, so thanks, bud. Which means that, yeah, we're going to have a video in August about the new thing, about the Rwandan genocide. That's going to be that's the stretch goal. The next one coming up is about the 1848 revolutions. So that will also, that's for $350 a month. So if you want to see that, then maybe it's time to patronize. I don't know. Only if you can. Don't do it if you can't do it. But that's the stretch goal. I gotta stop playing with things. I need like a fidget cube or something because that, and I have one. Jessery loves my videos. Thank you, Jessery. I appreciate that. So, a couple housekeeping notes before I answer some questions. And one thing I should say is next Thursday there will be a video. I'm surprised, but yes, there will be a video, but there won't be a stream next week because next Thursday I'm going to be away. I'm going to be in California for VidCon, so that should that's going to take up a good amount. That I'm going to be away from home, so I won't be able to do the stream. The other thing that I should probably mention too is that not next week, but the week after, because of the way that my video cycle works, for I think June 28th, I think is the day. Yeah, 2 weeks from now, there's going to be a second quick step in instead of a regular quick step or a regular step back video because of VidCon. So that's going to be a thing. So, you know, the next 2 weeks, things are going to be a little different. And that's just because that's, you know, my life. Congratulations, Massimiliano. Are you Irish? All right. Is there anything else I should mention? Not that I can think of at the moment. Oh, yes. Couple things. This weekend we're going to have Subscriber Appreciation Day a little bit early this month, and it's going to be with Jabari, who runs a channel called From Nothing, where he talks about African history. So we're going to have a really cool sesh this Sunday. It's a really cool channel. I really suggest you check it out. It's called From Nothing. Really, probably one of the most probably one of the better history channels on YouTube in the fact that it's not just focusing on military history, and it's doing a really good discussion as to like how African history actually went. And it's really cool. I think that you guys are going to have a really good time talking to Jabari on Sunday. And also, I have a new channel. I have a second channel that I'm going to be making every once in a while channel whenever I can actually get some time. That's going to be about D&D. So the Know Your Fantasy series is pretty much going to get moved to there, and that kind of stuff. So it's just named after me. It's just called Tristan Johnson. So you can probably find it. There's a lot of Tristan Johnson channels out there, but if you go to my community tab, I posted it in the community tab, so you can check out the first video. And I'm going to make another one today because I have a little bit of time before I have to start working on stuff again. Okay, let's actually answer some of your questions, shall I? So, 255 AD. If you don't like Cody's alternate history novel, will you tell him? I probably will. He's probably going to want to know what I think if I read it, and I'll probably read it, and I'll probably have a long discussion with him about it, no matter how I feel about it. I think that there's a lot of things that Cody is. A person who is sour about feedback is not one of them. You don't make it on YouTube if you are weak to criticism. I have no idea how this book is going to turn out, but I know that he would be open if I had issues with the book. And it'll be interesting. It'll be an interesting read anyway. So, I know, and also, like, Cody has roughly told me the story of the novel already. So, like, I roughly know what happens. He hasn't written it yet, but he knows how it's going to go, and he's told me that already, and I've heard the story already. And it seems interesting. I'd be interested to see how it comes out in practice. Why did the Soviet Union collapse but not China? Mostly because China did a lot more of a nation-building project. It tried it as somebody pointed out earlier. It had a hello Waldo, thank you for coming to watch. It had a more practical relationship with the United States, and the Soviet Union fell apart mostly because it had brutally conquered several regions of different national groups, and then just kind of tried to roll with it, and was under a lot more economic pressure because of the Cold War than China was. So, like, the Soviet Union couldn't really provide a lot for its citizens because it had to spend so much money at so much of its resources trying to maintain its nuclear arsenal and compete militarily with the United States when really they couldn't afford it because the U.S. economy was just so much larger than the Soviet economy. And yeah, when things got shitty and when all those countries that, like, you know, the Russian Empire or Stalin had conquered got angry and started to push away, like, it fell apart like a house of cards because it was this stagnant conservative system that really didn't have a whole lot to hold it together. Yeah. Being an it's almost like being an overextended military power is unsustainable. That's true. Pretty much think about what the U.S. has to do. Like, the U.S. is bordering on being overextended right now, and imagine doing that with, like, something like 40% of the economy of the United States. So, like, the Soviet Union was just unable to keep up its projection of power in the world, which it kept to because it had that whole idea of spreading international communism, but it just wasn't able to keep it going. And China did not have that same goal. Do you think the world Do you think the world will ever know for sure who shot down the Rwandan president's plane? No idea. I can't really speak to that very much. Is there a Canadian Communist Party? There are two. There is the CPC, the Communist Party of Canada, which is now Canada's, I think, oldest political party. No, second oldest political party. It's the Liberals are the oldest, but the Communist Party of Canada is the second oldest political party in Canada. It's still around. And then I believe, at least on the Ontario level, there's the Marxist-Leninist Party of Ontario. So there is multiple communist parties in Canada. And I don't know if they talk to each other. Knowing what I know about leftist politics, they probably hate each other for some reason. But, you know. Did my chat stop? Everyone stopped typing. I can't tell if Big Seltzer just said such a great line that everyone just stopped talking. Uh-oh. Oh, here we go. Okay, never mind. All right. My question for today is from Massimiliano Tron. Is there any good non-tanky critique of the Black Book? I'm not exactly sure what you're referring to as the Black Book. I'm sure it's some very important book that I have never heard of, that I'm missing out on, and that I can't really consider myself an anarchist unless I've read it. My bad. I don't get why that guy has a problem with Nubians. I don't know either. I'm going to good question to bring up on Sunday. I still haven't watched all the From Nothing videos yet. I have the Black Book of Communism. Like, so is that's the book about communism being bad, death, and everything like that. This like about how many people died under the Soviet Union and everything like that. I mean, I don't think people should shy away from that. The Soviet Union was pretty nasty. It was a totalitarian autocratic regime that represented communism in name only. It really had nothing to... Hey, Doughboy DeVito, congratulations for graduating from high school. That's awesome. You're going to do very well wherever you go to next. But yeah, Black Book of Communism. Now I remember this book. And yeah, I don't know. I think that using things like the Soviet Union as an argument against the idea of communism is intellectually devoid. Because if you look at how communism works, then you notice that, like, look at how communism works and you look at how the Soviet Union worked, they are diametrically opposed. See you later, Sir Zhao Zhao. Are you excited for the new Gorillaz album? If it's good, I'm not a huge fan of the Gorillaz, but I mean, I don't hate the Gorillaz. It's just that I just don't listen to. I just didn't listen to them when they were popular, and I don't really know if I have that much. I'm not sure how good they are past nostalgia value, but you know, if it gets big, then I'll probably listen to it. I don't listen to a ton of music these days, so. Do you play any musical instruments, Tristan? This is a question from Seamus. So Seamus, I've played a little. I think that I have played a little bit of music. So like I have taken bass lessons. If I could say I knew any instruments, it would probably be the bass guitar and the flute. I was in band for most of high school and most of middle school. And in that time period, I played flute. And I got pretty good at the flute. And I also played bass in a band in high school. And I didn't like it very much, but it was what got me into the band. So I learned a little bit of it. I wouldn't say I'm very good at the bass, but I have also practiced in probably close to 20 years, so, or a little over 10 years anyway. And I've been having on my long-term goal to pick up the guitar, and learn how to play it so that I could do open mic nights or something. But never seems to be time for that. I have a guitar. I have an acoustic guitar that I've been waiting to figure out at some point. Did you know that Comrade Stepback personally bullied at least 50 white nationalists by calling them Nazis on the internet? Yeah, it sounds like something I'd do. Oh my. Okay. Sabya Gupta wants to know, hey, I've been curious about this since reading about the French Revolution in school. Is the impact of the French Revolution on political transformation exaggerated? No, I do think that the French Revolution was a pretty important period of world history. I think where people will say that it's exaggerated is that, like, that the question that would probably be important to discuss is, was the French Revolution the event that caused all of the changes, all the modernization and liberalization of Europe in the 19th century? Or was the French Revolution just an example of a time or of an idea that had finally come to its time? And that in the 19th century, as socialists and liberals kind of parted ways with each other, where would it go? I do think that in a lot of cases, the French Revolution was the end of like the liberal revolutions, where the people who, were trying to make their lives better joined with liberals to fight against the feudal kind of monarchy thing. But then when the liberals got power and didn't do anything, then they kind of broke off and became socialists, which is kind of a thing that happened in the mid-19th century. That's when socialist revolutions kind of became more of a thing. Hey, Audible Anarchist. Did you see the video on From Nothing where he implied Cody is culturally biased against Black Africans? No, but I wouldn't be surprised if he said that, and I wouldn't. Cody can be sometimes a little insensitive to people from distant regions of the world. He's very smart about the things that he's very smart about, and then sometimes thinks he knows a lot about things that he probably does not know everything about, and sometimes that comes up in discussions about like Africa and the Middle East. But he's also very young, so I was probably exactly the same when I was like 22 years old. So, why is the population of Japan shrinking? Is it because they are homogenous, their culture? Well, Michael Collins, the answer to your question. So Japan is having a demographic crisis. Its population is aging by a huge factor. And people aren't having kids. And I would probably think that there are a few reasons. And I just want to make sure I don't forget these 3 points. So the 3 things that I think that are causing Japan to have a... Hello, Comrade Ace. So the things that are causing Japan to have the demographic crisis it's having. One is Japanese culture. Japanese culture is extremely traditionalist, although people are trying to break that, which is good. But one of the things that comes up is they have a problematic relationship when it comes to gender relations still. So there's this whole situation where you have a lot of men who expect women to still be these kind of domestic servants, while women want to go have a job just like the men and make money and have a husband that, doesn't suck. And there's this, because the culture is so gender segregated, they really don't learn how to relate with each other, especially the men who the men have gone down these routes of becoming like turbo nerds who play a lot of the video games and everything like that, the otaku kind of culture thing, and so they're just not dating. There's like whole documentaries about how Japanese people aren't dating, and like there's a lot of people who are young who are just not interested in having relationships and getting married and having kids, and a lot of it has to do with the women not wanting to be domestic servants and men not wanting to be an equal partner in a relationship. They want another mom, and women want a man, and it's not working very well. So there's a whole gender issue going on there. There's also xenophobia. So xenophobia. There's a whole thing. Oh my, you guys keep asking me questions. So xenophobia. So Japan also has an extremely like segregated culture. They are very insured on making sure that Japan stays Japanese, which means that they make no concessions about language. And Japanese is an extremely hard language to learn if you don't learn it from childhood. It's a very complicated language to work in. And so you can't immigrate to Japan unless you have very good Japanese, and that can be difficult. Then on top of that, it's extremely hard to immigrate in general. And so low immigration rates, low birth rates, and on top of that, it's like a lot of hurdles in order to integrate into society. And then on top of that, there's capitalism. And Japanese capitalism, the work culture in Japan is intense. People regularly work like 14-hour shifts in Japan. And so a lot of young people who want to make it in the work world end up pretty much giving all of their free time to work. And both men and women are doing this, which means that a lot of them are so overworked that they don't have time to date, get married, or have children, or either of those combinations thereof, because they're just working all the time. So I think that like those would be the three things that I would talk about. Okay. You're doing an anti-war / communist propaganda piece of theater. Cool. Okay. But yes, partially the resistance to multiculturalism is causing a demographic crisis. Okay. If you could remove anyone in the world from power, who would you remove, and what do you think the effects would be? Oh, geez. That's a good question. I mean, the obvious person to go to would be Trump, because Trump would be replaced by freaking Vice President Mike Pence, which would be even worse, I think. So, God, that's a hard question. I feel like Putin being taken out of power would probably be an overall good thing for the planet. I'm not sure if there's anybody who comes close to like the maniacal like leader type character that Putin is, but I don't know. The systems in place in Russia aren't exactly forthcoming for are really ripe for another person just like him to take power. So I honestly I'd be very confused. Maybe Theresa May. Theresa May losing power. Theresa May being booted out of power would result in the UK maybe going to another election, and maybe Jeremy Corbyn could actually win, which would be a victory for the rest of the world. So maybe that would be my option. Theresa May. Let's go with that, because she's hanging on to a minority government that's made by a complicated deal with a radical right-wing party in Northern Ireland. Maybe that would fall apart if Theresa May was taken out of power. That's just or Emmanuel Macron. He would also be a pretty good candidate for getting out of power and replacing with a actual left-wing alternative. All right, Maba Zero wants to know, do you watch the Zero Books channel? If so, do you enjoy their material? Also, what would be the most expedient course of immediate action you propose for building a new socialist international? All right, that was 3 questions, so let's start it. Do you watch the Zero Books channel? Yes, I like the Zero Books channel. If so, do you enjoy their material? Yes, most of the time. I think that sometimes they err too close to the lefty pole, like anti-ID pole left, which are not exactly a group I'm a big fan of, but not all the time and not explicitly. But and that's mostly because they are very uncritically huge fans of Slavoj Žižek, and I think that that is problematic. But you know. What would be the most expedient course of immediate action if you propose to building a new socialist international? I would probably think that it would be probably a situation in which it would probably be trying to get more people to talk to each other from different socialist political parties. And this is already happening a little bit, where you have, like, Sanders saying that he likes Jeremy Corbyn. There's definitely like mutual admiration, but turning it into an official organization of like progressive left-wing political parties around the world would probably be a good way to do it. Hey, Ron. I'm not sure if it would be exactly the socialist international you want, but I think the time for a non-stop permanent revolution is not in the moment. It's not exactly a thing right now. All right. Could you provide an example where communism worked? All right. Sure. Let's talk about maybe most of human history. So before the advent of agriculture, most societies lived in roughly egalitarian small family groups that foraged for food. But there was no leaders. There was no unequal distribution of resources, as far as we can tell. They just kind of existed, and nobody really died as a result. Or, well, nobody really, there wasn't as much of a brutal top-down economic order. Then there's, of course, groups that have existed, for example, like the kibbutzes in Israel have existed for a long time without, in a sort of communist-style system. I hesitate to say what's going on in Cuba, because Cuba has managed to be remarkably stable, although they do arrest political prisoners. And so it's like not exactly an ideal situation, but Cuba has managed to, against overwhelming odds, with the United States trying to crush them out of existence, have managed to cling on to a pretty good life. I'm not exactly sure where that would have gone, but there's a lot of things that you could do with that. So there's a lot of situations. I think that the problem that a lot of communist societies have had over the years is that they are susceptible to threats of violence and invasion from non-communist societies, and that happens quite a bit. There was a sort of anarcho-communist society that lived in Spain during the Spanish Revolution. or the Spanish Civil War that was brutally put down by a mix of tankies and fascists. There was the Paris Commune, which was brutally put down by French government forces. There's a whole bunch of situations that there's functioning socialism, but they don't fall apart because of internal inconsistencies. They fall apart because of external invasions. That seems to be the main cause. So you could put a lot into that. More allegedly communist societies. Diana Pristavu, hopefully I got that right, Pristavu. Have you read Superman Red Sun? It's a story about how Superman was raised in the Soviet Union. Yes, Diana, I have. I have read Superman Red Sun. I read it probably over 10 years ago now, and I thought that it was amazing. And yeah, so for anybody who hasn't read Superman Red Sun, it is a graphic novel. I think it was a maxi series, which means that it was a comic book that lasted for 12 issues. So it was like a 1-year run comic book. But now the trade paperback is pretty much the definitive edition. And it's an Elseworld story in which Superman lands about 12 hours later than he did in the original timeline, which means that he lands in the Soviet Union in a collective farm in Ukraine, and it's raised as a communist superhero, and it gets so crazy, but it's so good. Like Batman is actually a anti-communist terrorist. Wonder Woman with the what's it called? Her island. Her like Amazon island becomes part of the Comintern, which goes really well. When Stalin dies, Superman becomes the leader, the general secretary of the Communist Party, becomes the leader of the Soviet Union. Friggin' Green Lantern tries to fight him. He fails. There's Lex Luthor is elected president of the United States. It's amazing. It is one of the most fun graphic novels I think I've read. Just exploring that space is so interesting. All right. Are you aware of Canadian Gaelic? No, Seamus, I am not. Oh, my. Okay. Doughboy DeVito. Videos of Trinidadian historical events you can make. Jose Massacre, Jamaat al-Muslim coup attempt, and the Black Power Revolution. All right. Let me... Jose Massacre. I do need to, yeah, Caribbean times. And Black Power. Black Power Revolution in Trinidad. Good old Trinidad. All right. Massimiliano wants to know where the cats are. Kitties. They're not in here, which makes me think that they're probably in the bedroom. That's they're not on the couch either, so I just imagine that's where they are. Command and Conquer Red Alert. Yes, I know Command and Conquer Red Alert. Top 5 best presidents of all time. Ooh. All right. 5 presidents that are even good would be tough. Let's think of a few. Because all of them will have said they did terrible things. Like, I think, okay, FDR is definitely on that list. There's stuff about him that I don't like. But the New Deal was a pretty good idea for foreign policy only, normalizing relationships and starting the détente. Richard Nixon's got to get some credit for that. For the Great Society, Lyndon B. Johnson, pretty important. And, jeez, what's another? I'm only up to 3 presidents. I'm trying to think of some other ones that are actually good. Despite being a racist imperialist, you could definitely say that that Teddy Roosevelt, with his trust busting, was definitely a step in the right direction. And I guess before, I guess the other one I could probably say would be Abraham Lincoln for ending slavery, which gets you a lot of points in the good guy's side, I think, despite being a whole lot of problematicness. But also, he was like a Victorian age president, so different levels of expectations. Thank you for that question, Girthax. I feel like an idiot. What do you think about ex-Muslims holding Muhammad was gay signs at pride parades? I don't think about that much at all. I don't know how to talk about and to ex-Muslims. They grew up in that system. They have their criticisms. They are fully entitled to be mad. What I don't get is when they start supporting like literal attacks on Muslims. I can't really talk to them. I know that their anger is coming from a very personal place, and so I don't think I could do very much to speak too much to that. But yeah, nothing justifies attacking. Nothing justifies really attacking a group of people based on their religious beliefs. Samantha wants me to nya, like nya 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 nya. Is that what that is? I don't know. Am I missing something? Oh man, I think I accidentally deleted a question. Oh yes, here it is. All right. Okay. Yeah, as things stand at the moment, it's kind of impossible to be president of the United States and not be a bad and immoral person by most normal standards. I agree. I think that is a pretty good way to look at it. Okay. With your more active viewer base being very left-wing, do you think the rest is also like this? They're at least not Nazis, I hope. You know what? Great Dutchman. When you have an audience that's in like the 5 digits, I get surprised by the kinds of people that are Step Back fans. Apparently, like every day, or not every day, but every once in a while, I'll get these these comments that are like, I liked your stuff, and now I don't like it anymore. I'm gonna unsubscribe, and then you go and check out the channel, and they're like subscribed to like Sargon of Akkad and the Amazing Atheist and like Black Pigeon Speaks and like all of these like right-wing trash. And I'm just like, how did you like my stuff while being so bad at having opinions? I don't understand, but it happens. And I think it's just like it's a law of large numbers thing. So I would not be surprised if there was a Nazi who was a fan of Step Back. It grosses me out to no end, but I know that there are like rampant Islamophobes who love Step Back, despite the fact that like half my channel is anti-Islamophobia, but like whatever. It's just how it is. You can't control people, and what's it called? Their watch time is just as valuable as anybody else's, which means that by watching my stuff, they're advancing a cause that is against their own interests. So let them go. Did you watch? Okay, Christian Vibrecht. Did you watch the South Africa versus Russia soccer match? No. I guess the World Cup just started. I don't really watch it. Girthax, Amazing Atheist supported Donald Trump, so nope. And his blatant misogyny that he has had a over 10-year record of supporting. Yeah, go to hell. All right. Are you a liberal or a communist? I don't think that's the false dichotomy. I am a left anarchist, left person. I am a libertarian socialist. I am a anarcho-communist. Is it Saudi Arabia? Okay, I have not seen that. I have not seen. I don't. I probably should follow. I probably should follow the World Cup, but I totally am not. Step back. What's your favorite candy? Oh God. Ear nuts. Ear nuts are good. Cuban healthcare. Okay. Golden Ouroboros wants to know. That's a fun word to say. Golden Ouroboros. Okay. That's this is getting to be a very long list, so I should probably move All right. Quick question. Nuke. Golden Ouroboros wants to know, Tristan, quick question. Nuke the world to oblivion and start over somewhere else with only the most physically fit, intelligent humans with the best genes, or just let everyone kill themselves once a year? That's a weird question. That's another. Is this like a would you rather? I mean. Okay, so you either let everybody in the world kill themselves, or you set up like a fascist what's it called, like some sort of weird eugenics program. It does sound very post-sadist. Screw it. I don't know. I mean, I'd rather people live than not live. So I guess I'll go with the situation where not the entire world goes extinct. How do you think Hillary would have felt with North Korea in a scenario where she is president? How she would have felt. If Hillary Clinton were president, I think that there probably would have been there wouldn't have been this big showy summit. There would probably be a situation where it would probably be something that would be done in backroom deals and would not have gone to light. The thing about Trump's doing, like, it's not like the United States has never dealt with the North Koreans before, but usually they do it behind closed doors and making promises and things like that that are not in public. And I think largely the response wouldn't be that different. They just would have been quieter. And so Hillary Clinton would have talked more of a game of, not like the fire and fury levels, but would have been very harsh on North Korea publicly, and then probably would have made a deal behind closed doors, because that's kind of her style. If you follow Hillary Clinton, the the international broker. That's kind of her thing. She's very good at talking smack about people in public and then working with them in private. Which would last longer, all anarchist societies or my high school career? Well, comrade, oh, that's for someone else. Ron wants to know, did you hear the fascists rioting in London, and have anything unique to say about that if you have? I have vaguely heard about it because of that guy who got arrested in the United Kingdom, but you know, I don't think I can really say too much about it. The game that doesn't change, just the players. What about the Constat sailors? I don't know who those are. If you could change the events of one day in history, what would it be and why? That would be a tough one. I'd probably go to the day of the Constitutional Convention where they decided about the Electoral College and change it to be a popular vote. I feel like that could do a lot of good in the world. Why do you think Mussolini's regime was so incompetent? Because it was a stupid, it was a government that was held up entirely on the forced personality of one person and not on having a set of beliefs and plans. Comrade Ace, I'm going to read the book Joey Steele. Good, I've heard it's pretty good. So, okay. I can't tell what's a question and what's not anymore. Yeah. Thoughts on firefighters? I know what you might think about cops. What about firefighters? I think firefighters are great. I don't know if anybody shits on firefighters, but firefighters are very often people who put themselves in the line of danger for the sole purpose of saving lives. I think that they are usually unionized, or they're volunteers. Sometimes they are volunteers, and they rescue people, they save people. I mean, they used to be shitty when they were private, and they used to just like bypass people's houses that were on fire because they were contracted to a different firefighting service. But public firefighters, like, I couldn't comprehend what kind of a person you would need to be that selfless to become a firefighter. They save life for the sake of saving lives, which I think is pretty cool. Who's your favorite revolutionary? Does Emma Goldman count? I'm going to go with her. She counts. Girthax, are you an atheist? I consider myself a agnostic. I think the really, like, egghead term is apatheist, which is a form of agnosticism. So agnosticism is a lot of people think that it's that you don't know whether or not God exists, but agnostic is that proving whether or not God exists is not a answerable question. And so it's just, there's no answer. You can't answer it anyway. And I would argue that so, like, I think that what I would probably do, so apatheist is that I don't think that there's an answer to whether or not God exists, and I also don't care. So I am an apatheist. I literally don't think that it's an important question about whether or not God exists. I don't, to me, God existing or not existing would not have much of an impact on my life either way. Why do you use the term egghead? Doesn't that come from the Nazis? I don't know. I was the word that came out because I was about to say something that was going to be really like, what's it called? Presumptuous, not presumptuous, conceited, or some sort of like pseudo-intellectual smart word. All right. Golden Ouroboros, Tristan, top 5 best countries of all time must include one pre-Roman country. Oh, gosh. Try to think of a pre-Roman country that wasn't just awful. Does the Achaemenid Empire count? Pretentious was the word I was looking for. Yeah, the empire in Persia that was like really religiously accepting and really like laid back, like King Xerxes and stuff. We'll go with that. I don't know of any other 5 other countries. Iceland's pretty cool. Uruguay is pretty cool. Sweden has its moments, although I'm getting fed up with all the racism. Geez, that's 4 countries. What's another country that's not terrible? Portugal. Portugal has its good side too. So I'm gonna go with those. Who would you say were the worst U.S. presidents and Canadian prime ministers? Worst American president. All right, I got to go fast because I'm running out of time. Worst American president is Andrew Jackson, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. The worst prime minister would probably be Bennett because basically he fucked up the Depression in very much the same way that the Republican presidents in the early 30s fucked up the economy in the United States. Do you think that women are oppressed in what we think of as Western society? And if so, how? Yes, women are oppressed in our society. They're, in a million tiny ways, deal with so much bullshit in day-to-day life that are imposing on their choices, imposing on their abilities to try and move themselves up in the world and all sorts of things. I think there's a million tiny ways. I don't have enough time to go into it. I think that it's what do you think of Thought Slime? Thought Slime is a great channel, and the person who runs Thought Slime is a really good friend of mine. He cool. Are you surprised when you found out I'm a tanky? A little bit, because, you know, I don't know of anybody who sees the death of millions and millions of people and says that's okay, who aren't Nazis. So good on you. You have a very powerful sense of cognitive dissonance. What do you think of Elon Musk, his dumb flamethrower smart arms and space program? Yeah, he's I think he's getting exposed for being a bit of a con man lately. Is there a meaningful difference between patriotism and nationalism? I don't think so, but my wife's research seems to think so. Her research kind of concluded that patriotism is when you think that your country is good, and nationalism is when you think your country is better than other countries. But I don't really see, I think that having pride in an artificial boundary that you just happen to be born into is dumb. And I don't think that it has any sort. I think that it tends you towards making bad, being allied to things like racial groups and things like that. That I don't know. I don't see a positive side to patriotism at all. I love your stuff, and I love those skeptic channels like Chris Raygun, Some Black Guy, Armored Skeptic, and Shoe on Head. Okay, Golden Ouroboros, you do that. Don't know how, but sure, you do you. Feminism is important, by the way. Just I know that you should probably read about feminism if you're going to watch those channels, because they're going to be extremely. It's going to be it's very yeah, it's bad. It's feminism is an important thing, and the portrayal of feminism that those channels do is very inaccurate, and they are constantly strawmanning feminism. I think that if you want to, you should pick up Feminism is for Everybody before you continue watching someone like Chris Raygun. Do you watch extra credits? I did until last weekend, until the whole thing went down. Yeah, don't watch extra credits. Extra credits is it's a good channel, but I don't want to give support to somebody who basically emotionally abused his ex-partner and has turned extra credits into like this tiny little fiefdom for himself. So yeah. Do you consider yourself an educational channel or a political channel? Also, what do you think about innocent until proven guilty? I imagine what you're saying. Well, Costin, I consider myself a channel that does educational and political content. What do you think about innocent until proven guilty? Pretty good for a court. Not so good for proving things like sexual assault and harassment. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. Because it's hard to prove sexual harassment and assault in a court of law, and our courts are systematically biased against women. So when somebody calls themselves out, you believe women because they are routinely shown to be correct, especially in the case of a certain Ontario politician where it was a case of he said, she said, she said, she said. So, boop. All right. Extra credits. The guy who runs extra credits apparently had a bunch of people leave recently, and turns out that he was like trying to have issue. He was emotionally abusing his ex partner, who, when she left, she did like a big spell out that basically showed that he has been like firing people who disagree with him, or at least like driving people out who disagree with him, and that when I can't remember her name right now, but when she broke up with James Portnoy, that he basically like was like trying to like get her fired and all sorts of stuff. Like James Portnoy, the person who has basically made himself like the dictator of extra credits. What is your favorite Indian empire? Probably I don't know if that's why Dan left, but that might be a reason why Dan left. What's your favorite Indian empire? I'd probably put it at the Empire of King Ashoka, the Jainist emperor. Yeah, he was basically gaslighting. It was bad. There's a whole Twitter thread about it that you should probably check out. Have you seen any video responses to those channels from people like Sean, Contra, and Three Arrows? I love those channels, for sure. Oh, we're talking to Gold Nora Barrows. Do you like secular talks of Kyle Kalinske? I don't know who that is. Hillary was president, World War III would have happened, everyone would have turned on the USA and attacked them. Yeah, that's not true. If you had a time machine, where would you go? Geez, where wouldn't I go? I'd want to see so many things personally. Gosh, I don't have enough time to get on top of that. Ron, something I've heard in atheist circles, basically that it's a civil rights movement should be discarded because it was initially formed by religious black people. Any thoughts on that? Wow, yeah, that's like galaxy brain level bullshit. Religion has motivated people to do all sorts of things, good things and bad things. Religion is sort of a neutral position. So I don't think that I guess like I don't see religious motivation shouldn't be a factor in whether or not something is good or bad. It's what they do. I don't judge people by what they say. Say as much as I judge them by the things that they do and the things that they enact. Because doing something good for God is doing something good for humanity are functionally the same thing. Oh, so Big Seltzer is Kyle Kalinske? All right. We're quickly running out of time. I only have a few questions. I have to go. I have a few things left. So what is it when you're ashamed of your country? That is doing your homework. Sir Zhao Zhao, what racism do you see in Sweden? Do you mean the Sweden Democrats? Partially that, partially the kind of reacquaintance with neo-Nazism, and Sweden has always had a bad track record when it comes to allowing immigrants into their country, which not great. Do you like the channel Cosmic Skeptic, Dirthax? I have not watched that channel. So it is 2 o'clock. Man, you people were so cool today. That was a lot of questions. I'm surprised I got through it. If this keeps getting bigger, I don't even know what I'm going to do. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Here's a link I'm going to put in the chat. But if you guys just remember, next week there's not going to be a stream. There will be a video, though, because I'm going to be at VidCon. So I hope you guys have a great 2 weeks. I'll see you on Sunday for the stream with Jabari with From Nothing. So peace out, everybody. 35 of you. Holy crap. All right. Bye.